So, as we get ready to introduce our moderator for the panel, which is the intersection of sport and culture, we are going to do it to some music and some high fives.
The butterfly, that's old. Let me see the Tootsie Roll.
Let's go. The moderator for today, 5'9", owner and founder and CEO of Tenfold Entertainment, as well as the Impact Program at UCLA's Anderson School of Business, Felisa Israel. Let's go! You just right down there. Yeah. Now up, Essence Carson, co-founder and owner of Reemergence and WeMerge, former WNBA All-Star, 15 years in the league, and a great long record, distinguished career in the music business, now running her own company, Reemergence and WeMerge. Essence Carson, let's go. So much for the music. Next up, Paul Rodriguez, legendary professional skateboarder and owner of Primitive Skateboarding. 20 years as a Nike athlete. Welcome, Paul. Next up, Cam Mason, head of sports marketing for men's basketball, Adidas or Adidas. All right. Welcome, welcome. And last, our man at 6'5", Chief Content Officer, Grand Slam Track, Rick Qualliotine. Let's go, Rick.
All right, everybody up, let's do the Tootsie Roll. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much. We are so excited to be here, right?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, we have 30 minutes, and this is gonna go by real quick. So we're gonna get a lot in, we're gonna have a good time. This is an interactive discussion, so if anybody has any questions along the way, feel free to raise your hand and let's engage. As he said, my name is Felisa Israel. I worked for the NBA for 20 years, and good times. And also proud to say that I helped start the WNBA with the Phoenix Mercury. Woo woo.
All right.
Glad to see how it's all coming to fruition. And I own a live event production company called Tenfold Entertainment, where we produce large-scale live events and sporting events, celebrity events, charity events, and most importantly, I own a professional development program for students who want careers in sports, entertainment, and media at UCLA Anderson Business School. LaTroy, stand up for a second. Here's one of my student alumni. Give it up for LaTroy.
All right.
All right. So we're going to get into it. You guys ready?
Yes,
we are.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that I like to do in my classes, because I like to make everybody relatable, is I like to talk about where your start was. What did you dream about when you were young? And tell us about how you got to where you are today. So we're going to start with Cam.
Hey, how is everybody doing? No, I mean, if high school
You need to talk a little closer to the mic.
Oh, sorry. If high school me was able to see where I am today, he would probably faint and freak out. But grew up in the industry, long-time sneakerhead, so knew all about, PR shoes. But long-time sneakerhead, grew up in the field, worked at every imaginable shoe store there was and is, I guess you could say. If anyone knows Jerry Maguire, the show Arliss, I just studied it and loved it. The Intuit, I guess you could say, agency piece, what they do. And I wanted to grow up and be in sports my whole life. Athlete in college, athlete in high school, and just wanted to continue to harness that energy that you could be an athlete, but then still be close to the game at some point as a career. So that's
Where did you grow up?
Grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, went to Indiana. We're undefeated, if anyone doesn't know.
Are you a LeBron fan?
I am a LeBron fan, still to this day, although he's not there, but still a LeBron fan. And I know it's so hard, but no, I want to see him succeed. All about Cleveland, all about Ohio. But then, of course, my ties in Indiana for Hoosiers, where I'm close ties to at Adidas as well.
Cool, thank you.
No doubt.
I will say that, I was not necessarily interested in being in professional sports. I wanted to be in music and entertainment. And when I got the pleasure to have a conversation with Essence, we realized that our passions are very aligned. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about where you grew up and what you dreamt about as a young girl and how you got to where you are today?
Wow. Shoot. As a kid, surprisingly enough, I wanted to be like Quincy Jones. I know you guys are like, oh, you're an athlete, right? But I went to a performing and fine arts school. So that's where a lot of my passion, a lot of my love for the arts and music specifically started. Sports, I love sports. It was what we did in the community in Paterson, New Jersey. And I guess I just happened to be halfway decent at it, and it paid for a couple of things, and I stayed with it. I have a passion for sports, obviously. But yeah, I wanted to grow up to be Quincy Jones or something of that sort within the entertainment or music industry, creating the soundtracks to life.
Soundtracks to Life. That's a title of a book. Your book. Thank you. Paul, tell us a little bit about you. Where'd you grow up and what did you dream about since you were young?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I grew up in Northridge, California, which is in the valley, about 45 minutes from here. And as far as I can always remember, I was always dreaming big. Like, the first time I ever saw Bruce Lee on TV or on a movie, in my mind, I went directly to my mom, asked her if she could put me in karate class because that's what I was going to do with my life. I'm going to be that guy and make action movies and be cool like that. And then I seen Nolan Ryan playing baseball, and he was like my favorite pitcher. So then I asked my mom, can I join Little League? And I was going to be Nolan Ryan. Like, so every time I found somebody who I thought was the coolest person in the world, it was like, that's what I'm doing. And finally, I saw some kids skateboarding outside of school in 7th grade. I would walk to school in the mornings, and these kids, same kids, every day would be skating before school, and I would just find myself standing there, like, watching them, like, how do you do that? They could flip it, they could land back, or they could ride away. It's like when you see a magician, and they do a magic trick, and you get obsessed, like, no, you gotta tell me how you do that. Like, I had to figure out the secret, so I started skateboarding that year. This was like Christmas 1996. And that was just the one thing that I got into obsessively. And immediately I was like, all right, who's the best guys? I got to study them. And that's what I wanted to do. And then just nothing else ever came along that was able to like peel my attention away from skateboarding. So thank God for that. And I just stuck with it obsessively. And here I am 28 years later, still get to skateboard every day. So
Sometimes you just know. Sometimes you don't know, but then sometimes when you know, and you got to ride that wave, right? Mm-hmm. All right, Rick, tell us a little bit about you and what you used to dream about.
Hi, everyone. And I'm very excited to be on this panel with all y'all. So I was really fortunate on many fronts. Two really big ones. I grew up on Long Island, and the first one, and the second one too, but start with the first one.
A little closer to the mic.
Has to do with my mother. So I was growing up in the suburbs of Long Island. New York City was, for some people, really far away, but for her, there was no way that she was going to hang out on Long Island and not go to New York City as much as possible. So she figured out where every marionette show was. If there was Lincoln Center Jazz for Kids, if there was Mum and Chance, anything that was happening in the city that she could bring us to, she did. And then to take it to the next level, she founded this organization called Pro Arts, Parents Reach Out to the Arts. So arts in the elementary schools. And so when I was a kid, I didn't grow up with an idea that arts were separate from regular life. And I grew up with this amazing idea that you could be creative and that could be your job. And so I'm a huge fan of the idea of challenging and teaching and connecting with your community, and that has to start with kids. And I know from my own experience that it'll lead you to the most amazing life ever. So,
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Rita, thank you.
So, all right, just to reiterate for everybody here so that you're clear as to how badass these people are on stage. Cam, you've been with Adidas for 10 years. You're currently the head of sports marketing for basketball there. And you've been in multiple different positions there, just building, and formally before that at Reebok. Essence, you are now the co-founder and owner of Reemergence and Reemerge Network, which we'll get into. Not only are you a retired WNBA player, but she played for 13 seasons, spanning from the Liberty to the Sparks, woo-woo, Mercury, woo-woo-woo-woo, and Mystics, Connecticut Sun. She won a championship with the LA Sparks in 2016, Give It Up championship. And she was an all-star in the 2011 WNBA All-Star Game in San Antonio. Played internationally, and a music lover, worked as a music executive at multiple different labels and multiple different positions from, God, I'm gonna get it wrong, Virgin and Universal, right? And all of these different places. Yes. So we'll get to how that all translates to where you are now. Paul is a skateboarding rock star in his own right. Professional skateboarder, as you mentioned, since you're 15. Nike shoe, get ready for this, Nike signature shoe athlete since 2004, one of the only 5 athletes in Nike that has at least 10 signature sneakers, amongst the likes of Kobe, MJ, LeBron, KD, Kevin Durant. So congratulations on that. And Rick, wow. Currently, you're the Chief Content Officer for Grand Slam Track, owned by Michael Johnson, Olympian. Yep. And you were the Vice President, Executive Producer at NFL Media. You were the Senior Production Exec at NBC Universal Media. You were the SVP at Xbox Entertainment Microsoft.
Yep.
The list goes on. Comedy Central, MTV, Fox, CMT, Nickelodeon, Behind the Music, VH1, one of my personal faves, and MTV News. So like I said, their caliber is extraordinary, and this is a lot of fun for me to be with them and to teach you guys about them. So we're here to talk about the intersection of sports and culture. With where you guys are in your careers now, I want to talk about how you do that, how you manage to do that in your respective areas. I want to highlight music. Obviously, music and entertainment plays a huge factor in the sports culture now more than ever. When I first was coming up in the NBA, that's all I cared about. So it was fun for me because I was able to stay in my lane and nobody really bothered me because they were focused on the game. But now it's so significant. And so, Cam, I just want to highlight, I was doing some research, and I don't know if all of you have paid attention, but I saw this commercial with the Anthony Edwards shoe. And raise your hands if you remember, you've got the whole world in your hand, right? And for me, that brings me back to my childhood in Chicago with the GOAT, Michael Jordan. And Anthony Edwards, they did a commercial for the Olympics highlighting a shoe. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, utilizing that song and a young singer named Ariel Minter?
No, so, I mean, Ant himself is a definition of, like, from the South. Like, you can't get any more Southern than Anthony Edwards if you're looking at, like, what this Gen Z consumer is. He's exactly that. And similar to what Essence and Rick said, music is indoctrinated in his brand as well. I'm not sure if the lights have anything to do with that or not. But it's a piece of him. It's something that he cherishes, and we wanted to take that same piece of Southern hospitality towards like, African American black churches with the whole world in his hand because it represents who he is. It represents like what Atlanta is as well. And it's that crossover of like sport and Atlanta culture mainly. And he had no idea we were filming this. We intentionally didn't want him in it because we wanted to tell the story of Anthony Edwards without him. And culturally, it's kind of hard to do when you don't have the athlete in it. But with that music, with that song, with that piece, you're able to like take a hint of Atlanta and spread it throughout the world. And that's exactly what we wanted to do, and we captured that, hopefully.
It was beautifully done. And if anybody has a chance to check it out, you really should. Let's talk about some of the Adidas signature shoe athletes and how you highlight them as a crossover and an intersection.
Yeah, I mean, Ant's one, but I feel like we have multiple of them. James Harden, who plays in this arena right here, he's one that when you talk about fashion and off the court, his look and his persona is just as big as he is on the court. I've been outside with him, whether that's in China or even in Europe, and the magnitude and how he holds himself, it can span from the fan that just wants to see him hoop, but to the fan that wants to see someone walk down the runway, whether that's Marnie, Chanel, etc. He really encapsulates that with like how he actually puts his like wardrobe together, and I think that's what we do as athletes too. How you look off the court is exactly the persona you kind of take onto the court too, and it just magnifies school. And I'm pretty sure like Paul in essence is like pro athletes. You probably took that same piece to what you feel, how you're looking, to the actual like style of play you have. Mm-hmm. And I think that's exactly what our athletes do too.
So with the WNBA's Candace Parker, now as the president of women's basketball,
Right.
Do you have any idea what her intentions are in terms of intersection with culture?
Yeah, I mean, we talk to Candace a lot. Now that she's Madam President, as I call her, I report to her. But what we're really trying to do is take women's basketball to a different level from a different piece. And NIL is going to play a large part in that. A large piece in that is getting younger. And I think culturally as a movement, the panel before, when you talk about media and everything that like encompasses content around that, that's where this young next generation is leaning. And Candace wants to take that on. She has kids. She knows what that's like. She knows where she was as, an athlete. She wants to maintain that, I guess you could say, heritage of like the best of the best, but then how can you infiltrate culturally with like this next generation? And this next generation is moving through many different lanes, whether that's art, music, fashion, heavily diving deep on content creation. But those are the things that we really want to lean into when it comes to like controlling the blurry lines of where it is like, intersecting culture and sport.
Wonderful. Thank you for all of that.
No doubt.
Speaking of the W, one of the things that I learned in our conversation that I was really happy to hear is I asked how you got into the music industry from being a pro athlete, and you said the Players Association helped you, and I was really happy to hear that they were supportive in helping to guide you into the next phase of your career. Now, they did that, but then you took the initiative to understand, to observe, and to excel. And with that said, you have now, as of April of this year, become a full-blown entrepreneur. And you now own Reemergence and Reemerge Network. Why don't you tell us all about what those companies consist of and why they're important for you?
Wow. Well, thank you. Reemergence and Reemerge Network. I had an amazing opportunity to partner with a longtime close friend, but also a mentor that has well over 20 years of experience in the music industry, but not only the music industry, but the fashion industry. So Reemergence is the music arm of our company, where we focus on the infrastructure, building the infrastructure, and help carrying out and tailoring whatever the needs are for independent labels and independent artists. Because when working on a major side, you realize when communicating with a lot of the artist teams that there is some sort of lack of education there. And instead of, just going with it, just how the industry is, it's like, why not provide a feel for that, right? Why not help them? Why not help educate them? Why not fill these gaps, these holes within their own businesses, right? To make the music industry a little more, make the playing field a little more level. So once leaving the major system, we dedicated ourselves to that, and that's what we'll be doing full time. Now, on the other end of that, Reemerge Network, which is an actual network, a creative pipeline that we've created using our resources that we've built over the years within our respective fields, where we really focus on the creative aspect of things, right? Whether you're talking about photo shoots, image consulting, whether you're talking about providing the wardrobe and creative direction that can lead into editorial, that could lead into film, and so forth. Whatever you need visually, we're there to provide it for you. And with our network, we're able to connect you with the right people, whether that is the marketing aspect of it, you're talking about digitally, whether you're talking about just marketing properly, whether you're talking about anything, PR and so forth, we're able to connect the dots. Because a lot of times, you look out there, there's amazing people out there with a lot of skills, right? But maybe they just haven't found a home. But maybe they don't need to find a home. Maybe the home is within themselves and within their own business. And that business could be their own freelance work. So if we do have the connections and we do have the relationships because people trust us and what we've done over the years, why not lend a helping hand to someone else in creating this pipeline and this collective for everyone? So that's what we do now. And it's been amazing thus far. So shout out to my business partner that is here in attendance. Amazing, amazing, amazing person, and even more amazing business partner, Lisa Smith-Craig here. She's not going to raise her hand.
Yay.
But thank you.
That's literally the bullseye of intermixing sports and culture. That's amazing. Okay, Paul. You have a new sneaker coming out with Nike, highlighting your 20-year anniversary re-release of your first signature shoe in 2025. That's very exciting.
Yes.
And you, the rapper Logic, for those of you that know, just dropped a song in his new album called Paul Rodriguez. The city of LA just designated a Paul Rodriguez Day on June 21st every year. It's a, quote, Go Skateboard Day. Yeah, give it up.
Hello.
That's pretty big. And your mission is to give back to the LA community, continue to build your brand, and look for new talent while still being an icon in the game. So talk to us about primitive skateboarding and what it is and what your goals are with it.
Yeah, so Primitive Skateboarding is my brand. We are an apparel and skateboard company, and we have our own skateboarding team. So it's almost similar to like how a record label would be. We'd be like the label, and we would sign artists. Skateboarders are kind of like that. It's not like a team where we go compete together for one goal. So I would compare it to that, and the most gratifying part of it for me is helping to now be on this side of the table and to help somebody else's dream come true the same way that my dream was able to come true. When I was coming up and getting sponsored, wanting to becoming a pro skateboarder and have these people at these companies give me that opportunity. So it feels good for me to like be a part of finding new talent, or even helping someone who's been around reinvent themselves and prolong their careers with primitive skateboarding and apparel has been really satisfying. It's actually something that I never thought I'd be so excited about, because I was always too busy being selfish, trying to like reach my own goals in my own career. So this was really good to find that meant so much to me. And another thing that I'm doing with the city of LA, since I've got that relationship with them now, is this is my goal, so I'm just putting it out into the universe so that it happens. But I've been working with them and talking to them about building not skate parks, but like, I'm a street skateboarder. I'm the guy, like when I walked in here, out here looking at the basketball court outside, they got a set of stairs out there that I'm like, damn, I really wish they would let me skate those. So maybe that could happen. So my goal is to build real street spots throughout the city of LA and have them be there for generations to come to skate, because as skateboarders, we're skating on the weekends, hopping over fences, skating schools, skating tables, jumping stairs, jumping rails. We get kicked out a lot. We get ticketed a lot. We get our boards taken away, so, and we're not just doing that to be a nuisance, but sometimes like this architecture out here that no one's putting to use that we can see needs to be skated, you just have to risk it, so.
I think you should put together a proposal and mandate it on June 21st every year.
That's the goal. That's the goal, is to try to open up a new spot every year on that day that is legally skateboardable, and at least until we get to the Olympics, because skateboarding is in the Olympics as well now. But long story short, I guess my goal is, I realized that I can only skateboard for so long, and my whole life has been dedicated to it, that it would really be hard for me to just retire and then have nothing to do with skateboarding. So through Primitive Skate, through these initiatives I'm trying to do with the city of LA, like, that's a way for me to be connected to this thing that gave me so much and gave me, this fulfilling life longer than my ability to actually physically do it.
It's wonderful to give back. Doesn't it feel so good?
It feels great.
Yeah.
It really does. Like, people say it, and when I was a kid, when I was younger, I would be like, it's just something people say to sound cool, or like get a pat on the back. But it really does. It really
is.
feels
It's
good.
very rewarding and authentic. Okay, Rick, before we get into you, we're going to roll video. Brooke.
Calling all rivals. Only the fastest. Calling the grudge holders who would sell it all to break the tape. I accomplished everything you dream about. 4 gold medals, 8 world championships, cover of Time magazine, all that. But I never got to face my most bitter rival under the bright lights. 4 times every year, real money on the line. That's probably why you don't even know his name. Calling all rivals. We're about to change this game.
The better that you can do connecting what's happening in the environment to what's going on the court, or what's going on in the other direction in the community, that's going to give people a more intense and meaningful experience.
It's real, it's authentic, and it's awesome. So I think that's a great example that this is a live situation.
Yeah, and also I think a lot of times what ends up happening in sports, because I haven't always been in sports, is that there isn't as much emphasis as there could be on how do you really do a better job of reflecting the community that you're in and connecting them with that community. How do you do that? And I think one of the things we've all kind of in our own way been landing on is that music is the perfect connective tissue. So
how do you use it? How do you take what you're doing now, and how do you transform into cultural elements such as music?
Well, I was very fortunate. When I landed in Los Angeles, I got a job at MTV News. And so that was super cool for a bunch of reasons. One of them was that there were these amazing group of executives and producers that were there who were totally badass. People like Sally Frattini that we've been talking about, Judy McGrath, Doug Herzog. I mean, those are absolute all-stars. And what they put in place in that culture was risk-taking. And so I think that if I learned one thing from there, it was that there's a really big difference between playing for success, going for success, and playing to not fail. Because as soon as you're playing to not fail, you've stopped taking risks. And that eliminates the possibility of really interesting success, meaningful success, because it doesn't come without risk.
Well, I want to highlight something. So raise your hand if you guys know who Michael Johnson is. What do you think about when you think about Michael Johnson? Yell it out.
Gold Nikes.
Old Spice.
Yeah,
Gold shoes. Gold shoes,
Gold
right?
Gold Nikes. So here's my favorite statistic about Michael Johnson. You saw him up there. So I'm Chief Content Officer, luckily for Michael Johnson's brand new track league, which launches April of 2025. So my favorite statistic about Michael Johnson is he has 12 gold medals, he has 0 silver, and he has 0 bronze. So Michael does not play. So he he does not lose, and that's a huge piece of what drives him, is that he's going to put it all out there. He's going to take the ultimate risk.
So how is this league, is it a league?
Yes.
How is this league going to incorporate, is it going to incorporate fashion and music and different cultural elements?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things that we've discovered, so we ran an experiment. We took the final hour of NBC's track and field coverage for the trials. We took the final hour and we ran it through a company over in Burbank, and they do dial testing and they do interviews afterwards, because we wanted to figure out, like, okay, what's up? And what we discovered is that amongst avid track fans, they love it, they love it, they love it. They don't love going to track meets. So part of the opportunity for us is to do a lot better with what the experience is when you go to a track meet. So what Michael's put in place and said is, this is not about producing a track meet. This is about producing a festival of speed.
I love
So
that.
when you start thinking about what's going to happen when you go to one of these events through the lens of Festival of Speed, well, right away you're into what's the music going to be. Right away, we had some light cues, but what's the show going to be? And that's one of the reasons I was so excited to be.
Maybe we'll have Matt do a high five tunnel at the start.
Yeah. All
How much time do we have left? 4 minutes. All right,
All right.
let's wrap it up. So, last question. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
Thankfully, yes.
Okay, so tell us what you're excited about in terms of your future, in terms of your goals. What are you excited about achieving as next steps? Okay, we'll start with Essence.
Man, just being the connective tissue, right, between the world of entertainment and community, right, and culture. Being that connective tissue, because a lot of times we get in our own silos, and and we feel that this individuality is what pushes everything forward. Yes, to a certain point, it's about bringing it all together. Two minds are better than one, and then you add 3 and 4. Who knows what amazing, innovative ideas we can cultivate together. So really being the force behind that, and being able to tell that story visually.
Yeah.
So
How can this crowd support your efforts?
Man, you can always follow us on all handles, Essence Carson, everywhere. Reemerge Network, it does have an Instagram presence as well, all over social media. And we'll be launching, doing a hard launch of our website soon. So check out Reemerge Network, and we'll be around. You'll probably see our faces all over.
Awesome, thank you. Paul?
I'm excited about, I guess, the things that were already mentioned, those safe spots, skate spots that I'm looking to get built all throughout LA. I'm excited to continue to find new skateboarding talent and help younger guys with dreams of becoming a professional skateboarder, bring those dreams to reality. And then on a personal note, I'm just very excited about the 20-year anniversary re-release of my shoe. I can't believe 20 years, anything was 20 years ago. So I'm very grateful to still be here. My knees are working. Thank God,
How can this crowd support you?
I guess you can see me on social medias. At PROD is my Instagram. We got Primitive Skate, at Primitive Skate on Instagram as well. So you can check out what I got going on through there.
Wonderful, thanks. Kim?
No, I'm excited for the next generation. Similar to like what P. Rod said me being at the head of sports marketing for Adidas is, what does the next generation entail for these NIL athletes getting younger? A lot of kids getting more and more money, but it's like keeping them grounded in what they're looking at, keeping them grounded and focused on what they're trying to achieve, going back into like their career path and their future path, how that crosses over both sport and culture, all of the above, because there's a blend there, but that's what I'm excited about.
Thank you. And how can they support you? Buy your shoes.
Buy our shoes. Buy our shoes, and then support, support the youth, support the next generation of athletes that are out there, like, searching, regardless of sport.
Thank you. Last but not least.
I think what I'm the most excited about and it does have to do with this specific opportunity with Grand Slam track, but it also has to do with the stuff I've been focused on for the last few years and I see emerging in the larger culture in a really interesting way, is playing a part in working towards full equity for men and women in sports and media. So the benefit of track is that there are men and women that compete in track. In terms of the opportunities, the storytelling, there's a lot of work to be done. There is the foundation that at least is a good start. So in recognizing that that's a good start and that there's a lot of work to be done, that's what I'm excited about. And the way that you can support that is just figuring out within yourself, how do I do a better job of being an ally? I'm working on that myself, and I would say that's what you can do.
Wonderful. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much, everybody, for this opportunity, and we out.
Thank you all.